Welcome to the Penny Bloom Podcast. Ain't another place that has got more bombast. Romp past your mom, dad's listening to Tomcats. Talking everything to make you sad. We don't want that. We're here to make you smile. Put your mind at ease. Peace, love, and bloom, and always praise Keanu Reeves. This what we about. Get some weed and now. We'll talk until we can't no more, and then we peacing out. Alright, let's go. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Cinema Surprise by us, the Penny Bloom Podcast. I surprised Joseph last week with my pick for this week in Love Lies Bleeding. It was released in a limited capacity March 8th, 2024, written by Rose Glass and Veronica Tefilska, and directed by Rose Glass. I am Colton Robertson. I'm joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
Oh, what up, what up? Always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it's always a pleasure to have you, and I'm so excited. This is the third 2024 movie we'll be covering after Monkey Man and Furiosa. So, you know, we're getting a little up there. You know, we covered a few 2023 movies last year, and it feels nice to be covering the new shit, you know? I like doing that. And this felt right. For the Cinema Surprise, when I was conceptualizing what my first couple picks were going to be, I knew we were going to be in the throes of Pride Month. I knew I had limited picks in Pride Month. I was like, it's probably only going to be two because we're only doing this Fridays. And I knew my first one was going to be Casablanca. So it meant my second one was going to be a gay movie. That was how it was going to be for me. And I went back and forth. I tried hard to decide which one that was going to be. We'd recently discussed how you needed to get more 20s movies under your belt, specifically 2024 movies. So it made my choice easy because I fucking love this movie. This was my third viewing of Love Lies Bleeding. I caught it once in the cinema. I caught it as soon as I could own it digitally, and then I watched it last night digitally again. And, man, I love it. I'm excited to hear what you think of it. Fresh off your first viewing of Love Lies Bleeding, how are you feeling?
I'm glad. I guess my mind, I had a very different image of what I thought this movie was going to be versus what it ended up being. And what it ended up being was just a very well-made movie with a very good story, with very good representation, and a perfect movie, I think, to pick in this month. Like as far as like just a representation movie goes. But I expected it to be like outwardly flamboyant and like just like almost like a gay revolution movie is kind of what I was expecting, just because I was so high just on the revolutionary kick in movies recently and stuff. But no, this is just a normal gay relationship that is in a movie, and that it's like it is
normal, so to say.
Okay, very okay, true. Not a normal relationship.
No, but I get what you're saying. Like it's not like they are in a relationship that's just the jumping off point of the movie.
And
it's not even
time
particularly
period.
We are in the 90s.
Okay,
I don't know.
I knew it was post or pre me born is what it felt like, but I didn't know if it went back to the 80s or not. But like I loved the style of it, like the Coke machines, the whole aesthetic of the cars, just everything of the time.
It's got such a strong visual language, you know. It's fascinating because obviously in the Cinema Surprise Project, we've only done 3 movies, and they've been vastly different movies. And this continues that trend of not even remotely being similar to any of those that precede it, which is why I'm loving this project so far.
Yeah. You choosing a gay movie, I chose a religious movie before this. I don't know if we could have really gone more opposite
directions.
There, so.
But, I think it has such a strong visual language into, you know, I think it's got something similar going on as The Book of Eli in a capacity. It's literally one aspect that's not, it's just like it has a visual language. It knows what it is, and it doesn't divert from that. It is it looks the way it does, and it commits to it, and it looks fucking good. And obviously, it branches out a couple times.
Yeah.
Makes you go, oh, I did not know that's what this movie was.
I'm watching a movie right now. Yeah. And like the red, like whenever she had like the voices in her head, okay, let me get character names down real quick. Yeah, Lou.
Jackie and Lou.
Lou. Yeah. Oh, and goddamn, let's talk like the style or the time. Like Jackie's hair.
Dude.
Oh, dude.
Her fucking hair, bro.
Jackie's hair goes hard. But Lou's, it works for her, but like just this time and like the bodybuilder, the whole Jackie's just like
the aesthetic is
fits
brilliant.
The time, I guess, right here. And then like just I feel like Lou is like the perfect counterpart. Like I don't know, they're very cute together, and it just works. But I forgot even what I was saying before. I was just talking about how good they looked.
I don't know either, but I felt like you were about to go on the tangent about Lou in some capacity. The red flashes.
Yeah, the visual language. That's right. Whenever she had like the bad thoughts, or like I want to drive off the road. I want to kill my dad. I want to kill just any bad thought. Like, and it went to that
the
red,
flashbacks. Yeah,
it just went to red, and I like it's very clear. And then like whenever the testosterone or whatever she's shooting up, like
steroids.
Just starts to like affect, like you see it like go through the veins and like it's like I don't know, like I feel like I've seen it in some superhero or some
Hulk.
Is it like maybe that I guess like when he is just starting to get bigger, that's always
what it reminds me of when I watch this movie. And that's one of the things I love about this movie is that it has this artsy flair to it that is obviously not mainstream blockbuster type sort of movie. Sorry if you can hear my dogs barking upstairs. Somebody's probably walking by and it's really distracting. But Christ. So it doesn't have this blockbuster flair. It has this really down to earth, hyper stylized, almost art house feel. It's not. I wouldn't say it's art house or anything, but it is. I mean, it's a little more artsy than it is not, but it still has this appeal of this fantasy sort of heightened reality thing going on that I feel like lends itself to sort of like, I mean, the end of this movie is pretty like, you're like, wait, what the fuck happened here, and I absolutely love that.
I mean, really goes Hulk mode there, I mean, literally, and at first I'm like, okay, hold on. I'm like,
how she feels.
We have had some visual language done before. I'm like, is this actually happening now? At one moment I'm like that, and then I'm like, okay, no, this is just how she's like seen it, like how it's just she loves her so much that like basically she could be that big, and that's this is such that big of a moment in her life, that it's seen it that way. And like I feel like if you're about to kill someone as well, like you're about to go through that, something's pumping through your body that's not normal, like there's something, I don't know, whether you're on steroids or not, that's just going on. And I feel like they kind of, they don't really bring it up like on the nose, but I think they kind of metaphorically, or like whenever she's on stage and she like, whenever she throws up Lou, I feel like it's like the guilt, like in all of like the just of killing some, like the whole everything just like came up, and like it was like everything, I don't know, it was like just kind of like that moment in the zone of interest at the end where like the dude's soul just like he's fine health wise and everything. It could have just been the steroids and like a reaction she's having, and she didn't look the best whenever she got to Vegas.
There's a combination of things going on there for sure. That's my favorite scene of the movie, is the bodybuilding competition. Most of my favorites come from the way I felt the first time I watched it in theaters, And that scene unfolding where they call her out on stage specifically, where they're like, and from Oklahoma, Jacqueline Cleaver, and she comes on out, and they have that needle drop, and she starts doing her whole routine and stuff, and it's really, like, it's beautiful. Like, it starts out really fucking elegantly, it starts out gorgeously, and it was one of those things where when I was watching it in the theater, I was like, oh, beautiful. This is like, again, I keep coming back to this. This is why I come to the movies. Like, that's one of the... And then it takes a turn that's even more like, oh, this is really why I come to the movies. You know, like, as that scene progresses and she takes that turn and she goes into this different reality and she throws up Lou and it becomes this horror sci-fi blend of things there for a second, and then after she throws up, you got the three chicks off stage who she's hallucinating, calling her fatty, and they look like alien monsters sort of things, and she goes over there and beats the shit out of them. So, like, it's just a combination of awesome music, awesome visuals, awesome performance by Katie O'Brien. I mean, she is a fucking force of nature. She was already a bodybuilder.
I mean, it looked. I mean, you can't really fake the look. I don't know, unless she just used steroids for the movie. But like, if that makes sense, if she's just been a lifelong bodybuilder, like that's kind of the only other way that you can do that. I mean, like,
I'm excited for the career Katie O'Brien's gonna have, because this was a fantastic kind of launching off point as a movie actor. Like, she is going to be in the movies now. She got casted for Mission Impossible 8. She's going to be in the next one, which just par for the course for Mission Impossible. They're like, how can we get the most beautiful women alive in our movies is kind of how they operate. She's in The Mandalorian, of course, which is where you'd probably recognize her.
Oh, my God. Wait, what? That's what they use her for in The Mandalorian? Like... What did she? Oh wait, okay. Actually, she's
the Imperial officer who's like infiltrates the New Republic and gets Dr. Pershing fried and stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. No, I mean, actually, and she's one of the things that I saw online after this movie came out was like, I do not give a fuck that she already plays a character in The Mandalorian. Recast her as Cara Dune and everything will be fine.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, but moving on. Anywho, I love Katie O'Brien. She was also in Quantumania last year. She was one of the quantum people who ran their revolution, basically. Like, she's up and coming for sure. Like, she's going to be a big deal, and this was kind of that step that was like, okay, she is going to be a star. And to star opposite Kristen Stewart in kind of a breakthrough role, who is well established and has been for almost 20 years, which is kind of insane to say now. 2008 is when Twilight came out. So,
wow,
16 years ago.
That's nuts.
Yeah, don't love thinking about that. I remember when that was like the thing, really blows.
No.
Yeah, but so like you're acting opposite Kristen Stewart, who not only has been in the game for so long, but is a fantastic performer. Like, oh my God, is she so fucking good in this movie? She has such a natural, awkward casualness about her that, like, there are certain line deliveries in this movie that aren't really lines. She's just saying stuff or reacting, and it's like, that's perfect. Like, whenever Jackie shoots Daisy through the back of the head and it splatters on her and you don't really know what happened, and then she turns around and she's like, I baby, no, it's not what you, huh? And she does like the, huh? Like, and it's like,
wait, huh? Like, yeah, like,
yeah, dude,
hold on
it's
a second.
So
yeah, all
good.
in one word, all in one reaction. And yeah, she has like kind of her lane, but it's not like the same as like a Ryan Reynolds where like they're playing the same character the whole time. No. She kind of has like her performance lane. Like certain characters just work really well for how she delivers her lines and stuff. And I think it's beautiful, like, to see like the growth from Twilight. Like, everyone will view Twilight as like just the cringy and like it's so it's weird and actually like too awkward to be good and whatever. But then you see them now. We see our Batman and then now like like, I guess I need to get more Kristen Stewart under my belt.
Dude, yeah. A couple years ago, she was in the movie Spencer about Princess Diana, where she played Princess Diana. She was nominated for an Oscar for that.
Okay.
And well deserved too. Like that's kind of the swing where if you have not become familiar with Kristen Stewart outside of, Adventureland and Twilight and this and this, I mean, like, not to say that she's ever been bad, but you're right. She does have almost, it's kind of like Elaine. Like, there is kind of a vibe she brings, and she always manages, she might add a flair, and it's a little different, and it might be a little better in some places. But that's the swing that if you have not watched her in it, you'll be like, oh, Kristen Stewart's the fucking shit. Like, oh, she is fucking good. She was really good in Certain Women, where she starred opposite Lily Gladstone, actually. That's a really good movie. That was 2016, so that was almost 10 years ago now. Yeah, no, it was... I enjoy Kristen Stewart a great deal. I love Katie O'Brien just off the back of The Mandalorian alone, so I was really excited for this. One of those things where I wish I would have hit her up for like an interview or something when she was just on The Mandalorian, because... now she's famous.
Yeah, and feels like it's only gonna go up from there now.
Oh yeah.
This was, man, I don't know. I haven't seen many 2024 movies. And I love the gap that I started with was Dune 2 and Madam Web. And every movie was just gonna go in between those that I watched from that point on. But I'm surprised that at like Monkey Man and this movie, I'm surprised at how like close they came to Dune. Like and like how it's not as clear, or not like these are top movies. Like I have not been disappointed with a 2024 movie yet.
My top four 2024 movies, which I'm assuming are the same as your top four 2024 movies: Challengers, Dune 2, Monkey Man, and this.
Oh yeah, Challengers. Yeah. Whoa.
Like they are four of my favorite movies I've ever fucking seen, and when it comes to where I rank them, I have a really tough time deciding that, which is. Not typical for me. Like, last year, it felt very easy to place one over the other, but we're dealing with such vastly different movies, I feel like. Like, Challengers, Dune 2, Monkey Man, and this.
We're back.
We are fucking back, baby. Like, this is thriving.
And this A24, and I feel like I haven't watched a single A24 movie that, like, I haven't liked. I don't know. Like, they do just feel a little bit more personal, or just, like, a little bit more artsy than normal.
They've got and that's the thing, is that A24 provides creatives the opportunity to kind of run wild. They are open, that as a production company, they do provide lanes and avenues for directors and writers to go nuts with it. Like, this is released by Warner Brothers or Universal or something. We don't get the same flair that this has, where it gets to the genre bending and the the end where it's kind of like, wait, what happened here? What was that was that a choice in the movie? Was that it's one of those things where we've had, I think Monkey Man was an A24 film, Civil War was an A24 film.
Ooh, another one I forgot about.
I'm pretty sure Monkey Man was A24. I might be mistaken there. I apologize if I am. But all of those, now that I think about it, I don't think Dev Patel's Monkey Man was not A24. It was Universal, because Jordan Peele bought it and produced. Yeah, okay, yeah, never mind. But I mean, good juxtaposition here: Civil War and Love Lies Bleeding for 2024 films, in that they are not at all the same. They are vastly different in tone, but they are providing a director a chance to just kind of go nuts with what they want to be creating. And I think that's awesome. Bless you, by the way.
Thank you.
No problem. But
yeah, no. Yeah. And like Everything Ever All at Once, isn't that A24?
Yes, that's A24.
I mean, like this, it's a studio I like. It just seems that the concept of letting artists express themselves how they want to.
Let them cook.
It generally it works out for the better, and this was awesome. That ending, like, I think this is a very rare movie, like that in the sense that I really really liked like the first act and the setup, and then I feel like up into the point whenever the murder happens, Jackie and Lou are, she gets to the house, sees her in the bathtub, they have that conversation. Like that's like
scene.
I feel
Yeah.
like that's probably my favorite scene. Is like it feels like that's when everything comes together, and I was like, oh, okay, now the movie is going now.
It's a fucking quick one, man. It flies by you.
Yeah,
like
hour
this movie
44, and the perfect. I don't know. I feel like that is just the golden.
That's the run time, baby. Yeah,
and I think in the second act, I don't hate anything that happened in the second act. It's just I don't think it held up to the first act and the ending, or like up until the killing and then how everything wrapped up. I feel like those were like just very intense. I guess those were just the more intense parts of the movie. So, and it, like,
the trying to, well, you're getting a combination of things in that second act, which I do really, really appreciate. Like we're getting Kristen Stewart's Lou trying to cover it up, trying to hide everything, trying to live day-to-day life. You get Jackie descending further and further into her roid abused madness. And that's why ultimately Katie O'Brien gets my performance, and it comes back to your scene, the one that you said might be your favorite scene, where she's sitting in the bathtub. The dejected, disembodied stare that she's doing, and then she delivers my favorite line of the movie during that scene, where she goes, I made it right. And she's not really like she doesn't feel one way or the other. She's non-feeling. She's absent-minded, and I made it right. And Lou just kind of like looks at her like, okay, honey, we got to do something about this. You go ahead and stay there. I'm gonna figure something out, and then I'll come back and get you. Like, and that's what I love too, is that Lou. That's why Lou's my favorite character. Is that Lou holds it down. She does not like. She's obviously killed people. That's also a huge plot point in the movie. So there's this understanding she has of Jackie that a lot of other people would not have of Jackie, yes. And I appreciate that there's an obvious enablement and toxicity, but a perfect balance to each other that ultimately provides a comfort in one another that means they will make it out of this. It's like it's rough for now, but they always have the vibe that things are going to be fine as long as they're together, which is rare. Like when it came to Beth and JJ, obviously the toxicity there is a whole other level and not going to be okay. And Beth has been manipulated and brainwashed to the point where, as Lou says, you're a moron.
Yeah, that's just always rough to see, and like, it's just, I mean, good. I think like representation in this movie was just like handled perfectly. You had the bad shown clearly, and a satisfying death. Like it like make a guy so shitty that when he dies, it's like, well, I want you to die anyway. So it's like, like the deaths that happen. It's like, oh, who's the other girl? The
Daisy.
Daisy. Okay, yeah.
Played by Anna Barishkinov.
Kind of poor. I feel like Daisy's the only one that was just kind of like, damn. Yeah,
like, Daisy's is a shame, but she was a nuisance.
That just does kind of suck.
In the like in real life, it would kind of suck. In the context of the movie, I'm kind of like, dope. Thank you.
And she wasn't. Yeah, no, she was annoying, but like not to the point of like she needs to die.
Oh, she didn't deserve to die.
But at least like on the tennis court, whenever she's like given the rundown, she's like, well, the first one, he deserved to die, and honestly, cool. Like that one, I don't think anyone debates
what about
that death.
Her?
But then it's like, well, yeah, I mean, you were forced to do it, and I know how that
my
feels.
dad made you,
Like, and like she really had no choice, like it was. I don't know if the threat known to the audience that like. I feel like it was just I feel like what we saw was just let me know when it's done, like it was the end of the conversation instead of the before. But I'm assuming he was just like, if you don't do this, you're going, like, I'm going to say, or you're going to be the one going down anyways or whatever. Or was that
we saw the very beginning, not the very end. We don't even know what he tells her to do. The conversation cuts off whenever he vaguely threatens Lou. He says Lou shouldn't have done
to Jackie.
To Jackie. Yes.
Or when
she's in the car with him and he says something about how Lou shouldn't have done that, and she goes, "But Lou didn't do anything." And he goes, "Shut the door." And then we cut away. I think there was this. It wasn't a real threat. It wasn't like he was like, "I'm going to kill Lou if you don't." He says something about Lou. Jackie goes, "But Lou didn't do anything." And he's like, "Okay, now we ride. Like, now I've got you. Now I've got my hooks in you."
Okay. And then
that's why the shock of Daisy getting shot is so fucking like that moment whenever the blood splatters on Kristen Stewart's face and she's like, and she just kind of turns around. And then, like I said earlier, that line delivery thereafter, like, she is so fucking good.
I mean, I was like, at first I was confused. I'm like, wait. I was like,
did she just throw up blood?
Yeah, I'm
like,
like,
she just thrown up and
yeah,
stuff?
Because the throw up, that was unrelated, right? That was just her, like, reacting.
Yeah, they'd been drinking.
Yeah, so that.
Yeah.
I mean, a little just weird, a weird character. Didn't deserve to die, but like whenever it was just kind of funny, like died fun, like, but then it turned very intense, and I was just like, holy shit, what's going on? So I mean,
the
there was
FBI knocking on her door as she's cleaning up a dead body and hiding her behind the couch, and her cat licking up the blood and stuff. Like, oh, dude,
yeah.
No, I mean, like, high intensity, extremely, like, it's a fascinating and good example of really sensual sexual scenes without being what's the word, gratuitous, like Game of Thrones at points. I'd say Game of Thrones got Game of Thrones got gratuitous, and this felt like it was it was used in ways that was I mean, it always kind of it didn't push the narrative forward strictly, but it pushed their narrative forward, like the first time they say "I love you" to each other was right after they'd had their finger bang makeup sesh.
Yup.
And that was like the first time we see them hook up. Just classic stereotypical gay women shit. First date, first roid use, first kiss, first fuck. Now we live together. That's love
simple.
That. Love
very
that.
Simple. It felt good, and it was after a moment of shut the gym down, and then two dude bros are coming out there and trying to hit on her, and then like I guess
lose a grade 8, like, right?
Man,
and she like, is that right?
And yeah, it's just. I guess every guy. I'm trying to think of. Is there a dude in the movie that is not shitty?
No, they all suck. In some capacity. I don't think there's a single one. I mean, like, and the ones that don't really suck are FBI agents, so they suck for a different reason. Yeah.
There's not really a dude in there that I can get behind at all. But I don't know. I very much liked it was very tasteful. I almost like picked their first kind of sex scene as my scene, just because it was
I mean, it was really good.
It was just done really. I don't know. It was just very beautiful.
When Lou gets her shirt off and she like leans back and runs her fingers through her hair and she goes, "Holy shit!" And then she like it was just feeling
every bit of her body, and then like showing Jackie's reaction to that, and then it was just like I'm like, whoa, this is just like
they had insane chemistry.
Yeah, like that's just like whoa, that's like your job.
Fake that.
Like,
like that's
what?
insane.
Like, excuse me, you're not in love right now. You're not right. I guess
Well, they did
and
photo shoots afterward, like in promotion of the movie, where I was like, oh my god, like y'all, how are y'all not like
just just
knee deep in a relationship at this point.
Strictly
but
professional,
professional shit. And hats off to you.
Wow.
Katie O'Brien's married to a woman, and she is. I follow her on Twitter. She's a fun follow. Her name's Kylie Chi, and she was very, very open about like promoting the movie. Like whenever the Love Lies Bleeding trailer came out, she was like, yeah, that sexy ass bodybuilder is my wife and stuff like that. It's quite the flex to be able
my
to go,
wife
like,
gotta fuck
yeah.
the girl from Twilight, like that's pretty hard. I mean, her career's popping off. Star Wars, Marvel, fuck the girl from Twilight in the first like 3 big things that you're in, and then
gonna be in Mission Impossible.
Yeah,
should be Wonder Woman, by the way, in the new DCU.
Okay, these fan casts. Cara Dune was nice, but Wonder Woman.
Oh, she would fuck that.
She looks like a Wonder Woman.
Yes, and frankly, the way Wonder Woman should look. I like the idea that Wonder Woman's like naturally gifted, like she's just like she can look like anything, and she has super strength and stuff. But like, if Katie O'Brien plays Wonder Woman, Wonder Woman's super powered, and I think that's impressive because I'm talking about an actor here. I'm not talking about the character. I'm talking because Katie O'Brien looks like that. You could believe she has superpowers, and that's. That's impressive. So all that to say, again, wrapping it back around, that's why I went with Katie O'Brien as my performance of the movie, just because she has such a charm about her that is, I can't even really put my fingers on it. Like it's she's so charismatic, and I love that opening scene whenever the guys come out and they're like, what's up, ladies? If that's all right with you, Lou. And they go back and forth, and they call. They're like, she's a grade A lesbian, right? And Katie O'Brien does this like smirk and lifts her eyebrow, and she's like, "Oh, is that right?" She's like, "Okay, yeah, let's talk about it then." And then the whole first scene in the weight room where they have their first little connection, they're clicking up, she gets the steroids and stuff in the butt.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Where do you want it? In the butt. Yeah, I don't know. And just the kiss, it felt, I don't know, it was just, we kiss now. Like, it was like, I don't know, just after that is, to shoot up steroids into someone, I feel like that is quite the moment. I don't know, that, it felt a little like, forced, like, hey, try these steroids, and she was like, well, it is your body, your choice, but it's like, here they are right in front of you, and you are going to competition soon.
And that's why that's why their relationship also comes. I mean, obviously comes with a degree of enablement. Like, there's not only that, but like the reconciliation of their story. My second favorite scene on a tennis court this year, by the way.
Why does it go down on a tennis court all the time? What?
Everything is sex except sex, which is tennis.
And tennis is a relationship.
Tennis is a relationship,
and yeah, I guess that's the net was broken down. They broke down the barriers.
Yes, they broke down the barriers. I love when she like chases her down, jumps on her shoulders, and like carries her down and stuff.
Fuck, I'm trying to help you.
I'm trying to help. If I was gonna sell you out, I'd be talking to the police. I've got Daisy's body in my trunk. I'm trying my best. Like, I love that shit. But like, she's like, there. Obviously, because of Lou's history, she can understand Jackie a bit more than anybody else. But also, it is funny that she's like, "You're beautiful and you're smart and you're wonderful," and like it's so funny because like we've watched her kill 2 people. Like, that's something we know that's we know that's happened, and and that's the thing, is that because of the movie, is that it's like. She is, it's like, she is wonderful. She is awesome. She's beautiful. Yeah, she killed 2 people, but that doesn't matter. Like and I love when a movie can do that, like whenever you're like, yeah, she had to, like it.
She laid it out like that. The first one, he deserved it. The second one, my dad forced you to. So
murdering JJ, like, I gotta be, like, Jackie's real as fuck. If if one of Emily's sisters got hospitalized by her partner because he beat her that bad, I don't know, I might sever his jaw from his face too.
Yeah,
that's
and,
a pretty.
and
that was a
maybe-
pretty graphic image. Also,
I'd assume the goal was to kill going in there, but
Mhm.
like it could have just been the roids taking over, and just
yeah, the roid rage. The way they
Right.
depict roid rage is really, really cool in this movie.
Yeah.
I like the way things distort around her. One of my favorite shots in the movie is whenever Lou comes home and she finds the post-it note that says like, "Went out, be back later, don't worry." It has a little X kiss. I love that. Love that little detail. So like, she's like roided up, but even then she's like, "Don't worry, love you, bye." But she's jumping rope, and they do this dolly zoom on her where all the equipment comes to the foreground and the background goes further, and she stays in the middle doing jump rope. And I was like, that's so fucking cool. And then she's doing the sit-ups, and she's watching the words distort on the wall. Then she comes home, and she's all
Yeah.
fucking, whoa, yeah, I'm fucking ready, let's go.
Yeah, and then like Lou like kind of is like, oh, like are you like she was scared, like very intimidated, and like, oh, like what the fuck, like how are you acting like this right now?
Yeah,
Like,
she's like,
even though she understands,
you locked me in. Like
Yeah.
she slams the wall and backs her into
Yeah.
a corner, and then when Lou presses her and she like sinks into herself and she's like tweaking and stuff, and then she just headbutts her and gets the fuck out. Like it's one of those things where it's like, I loved the way they depicted roid rage in this movie. And I mean, my favorite part of the roid rage depiction was right before she decided to go to JJ's house and kill him. Where she's, one of my favorite shots in the movie, again, is the shot whenever she's sitting in the corner of the hospital room looking at Beth in the hospital bed, and her hands are digging into the hospital chair, and then she's just kind of silent, observing everything, because like, what do you even say? Like it's a tough situation to be in as a partner who's relatively new in a relationship, and like that's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
This is how you're meeting your girlfriend's dad,
nice
etc.
to meet you. Sorry, I'm here. Yeah, you don't say anything. Yeah, you just
exactly. But the way she takes it all in, and she's already observed the way Lou feels about JJ, and this comes fresh off the coattails of their conversation the night before, where she's like, "I'm sorry, I don't tell you everything." Like I want to do bad things. I want to kill him. I want to kill the guy. Like Lou's like, I want to murder JJ. That is something I desire. That is something I want to do. And then Lou sitting bedside cries. She freaks out. She kicks the chair. She punches the wall. And Jackie's like, okay, yeah, cool.
That's enough.
You see her whenever she grips it, you see her muscles bulge and stuff. Like, I love whenever the roids are acting up, they do a literal visual tell of how her muscles are experiencing the roids getting in her. So I was just floored the first time I watched this movie by its visual prowess and its visual storytelling. And I mean, I love the music. I think that I believe it's by a gentleman named Curtis Lancel, if I recall correctly.
There were a few needle drops that indeed I was like,
oh, the
whoa.
needle drops were nice.
Yeah, the
yes.
kind of synthy musics at some points, like at
Clint Mansell. It's got a cosmic sort of feel, which is interesting, and I think that kind of comes back to the way this movie's heightened reality and fantasy elements kind of play in, where it is almost like a cosmic love story of, be gay, do crime. It's the ultimate be gay, do crime movie.
Yeah,
it's
and how one person can come in your life and just, I mean, the way that their lives changed, like from just, oh my lord, like it kind of reminded me of like Inyun, of like just how many layers of overlapping had to happen here for this to happen, and
right.
It feels like that JJ was on his way out, like this, it just needed to happen, and Jackie came in kind of at the perfect time to be the one to just finalize it and do it. And I was really worried whenever we got to the bathtub, because like I didn't know if she was just sitting there, with her arms bloodied and stuff, and like sitting there in a bathtub, and like it kind of appeared that she was slowly dying, and maybe she cut her own wrists, and I was like, no, like I do, like the whole, like there's been too many of those in Oppenheimer, and then let's see, there in
Royal Tenenbaums and
Asteroid City, even a fake one,
Asteroid City,
where they
yes,
actually
yes.
it is a dupe, and so I feel like I got duped again here. And
Yeah,
but
right.
then it just actually turned into like a holy shit, like it was emotional anyways.
No,
And
yeah.
she wasn't
Well,
dying.
and there was one of my favorite things about this movie that I think had to have been a huge inspiration on it is Thelma and Louise. Thelma and Louise, a movie where we have not abusive, but verbally abusive for the most part. I don't think they ever put their hands on the women. I don't think that's part of it, but verbally abusive male partners for one of Thelma and Louise, and the other one is in a on again off again sort of situationship sort of thing. But it's kind of like let's get out of here, let's go here. One of them murders somebody along the way. They try to run away. They try to cover it up. All the while they're being chased by this abusive partner. It's there's this element to it that I feel like if Thelma and Louise in 1991 or whatever had the balls to go, Thelma and Louise were gay, which there's already plenty of signs in that movie that are like they might be, but it wasn't explicit. It wasn't like they are in love and they are running away together. They are best friends.
I see.
And so it feels like this was Rose Glass being like, okay, well, I'm gonna make my Thelma and Louise,
It's time.
and it's going to be fucking awesome.
We've reached
and they've both become a couple of my favorite movies of all time. So I adore that sort of dynamic, and I think that this obviously it's I don't want to sell Thelma and Louise as being like the same type of movie, but I think there's no way it wasn't an influence on this. I feel like it had to have been. And I think that what they managed to pull off here is, I mean, it's riveting, it's exciting, it's sensual, it's
creative,
it's sexy, it's creative as hell,
unique.
like it's
it was just what an interesting story to lay out and tell, like a murder mystery, cover up, love, romance, just in chaotic romance at that too. It's like it's two people that like you can't really relate to at all, because like I don't think dads are having their daughter murder people on the regular, and then not many people are or bodybuilders that are roided out. So like there's not much to relate. But then just their relationship struggles, or just having a shitty dad in the first, just like it's the concepts of it all, I guess, or having a shitty guy, not abuse you, but someone that is close to you.
Well, and there's also a catharsis about it that is like it might not be relatable, but it's nice to watch some of these things happen, Like you like watching the dude. Sorry about that. You like watching the dude who has been obviously abusive to his wife get his head smashed on a coffee table, and you like seeing that his jaw was severed.
It just like dangled too,
just flapping there. Yeah.
Whoa.
Graphic as hell, brutal, love it. I love whenever they put him in the trunk and okay, it's not going to fit, let's unwrap him, and they put him in there, and I love the whole time, like one of my favorite little character things that isn't particularly important but is extremely just character building is that Lou's trying to quit cigarettes. And whenever she puts the body in the trunk and she sees he has cigarettes in his pocket, and she like looks at them and she goes, nope, and she has to like force herself to like not take the cigarettes out of a dead guy's pocket. She goes,
damn, that is, yeah.
Nope,
and she always listens
nope.
like on the radio to like why cigarettes are bad for you and why you should quit, and then like the emergency blunt it wasn't a cigarette, right? That was a blunt, and that what? God, I already forgot her name. Daisy. That Daisy gave her, for emergencies. Very emergency. Needed a calm down sesh for sure. I think a warranted blunt. Warranted getting back on that. I don't know, because wasn't it was it after the FBI left her house that she smoked, or was it?
Yeah,
I think it was. Yeah,
she
just
smokes,
right there. It was
and
just,
her dad calls her, and she has one of my favorite line deliveries during that too, where he's like, "Are you threatening me?" And she like waits for a second. She goes, "Yep," and it's like
Yep.
this cheery.
Yes,
it's like this
I
cheery.
am.
Yep, you know what?
Like,
Yep, that's what I'm doing.
For the
you know,
first
fuck
time
it.
in my
Yep.
life, it's like, and you just get that through her. Like I went with Kristen Stewart for the performance, just to
mean,
spread
she's
the love,
fucking great.
and I think like Katie O'Brien did a great job, and
I think
loved
like
doing
thing
it,
is
but,
that
like,
you could have gone with either of the leads, and I think they're completely justified.
Yeah,
They're both
I mean,
brilliant. Yeah.
I just flipped it. I gave Kristen Stewart the performance, and not that I like Jackie's character the most. I feel like Lou is the one that holds it down and has like the more level head and everything, but just the whole Jackie feels like I like just the design of her character, her outfit,
I mean,
her
and
hair.
the journey of the
and
character
yeah,
is incredibly
like,
compelling.
I mean, it's crazy that she just walks out and she's like, "Fuck, I know I fucked up. I'm done." She's walking just a van that happens to be going to Vegas. She hops in and boom, wakes up. You're there. You know, like Vegas. I feel like it is just it's a different world. You know, you enter a different. It's a portal into a different whole entity. I don't know. Like it's. Crazy shit just goes down in Vegas. And I love her just walking out of that van and then just having like the motorized like wheelchair guy just go in and like just the chaos of everything, and she's like just super distorted and like having to deal with steroid and murder and everything.
Shoots up another steroid and starts ripping push-ups. Yeah, like she's she's in the shit, man. I adored the Vegas sequence. That was definitely one of my favorite. I love the phone call from jail where Daisy picks up and you get to Daisy bare ass face in the kitchen. You're like, oh wow,
yeah, like okay,
and then she does her little dance in the kitchen afterwards and stuff. But like that's why like ultimately I do agree that I think the last act and the first act are like the build up is so strong, the conclusion is so strong. I would agree that the second act is the weakest of the three, but there's a lot that happens during it that is some of my favorite shit in the movie. Like my favorite scene of the movie does come during that. I love Katie O'Brien in the scene where her and after the murders happened and after Lou's like, okay, stay here. I'm going to go clean up, make sure we didn't leave anything. And she's like, okay, are we still going to Vegas? You know? And she's like, oh, no, honey, we can't go anywhere now. And she's like, but I was always going to go, you know? Like, and frankly, that's not terrible justification, you know? Like, she was always going to go. It's like,
continue your normal life, I guess.
Yeah,
you know?
that's
like
the thing that does hurt is like, did she tell anyone that besides Lou, or is Lou the only one that knows that? And like, if she'd made it known that she was gonna go to Vegas and she was going to go do this, maybe. But
true.
So that's one of my things where I'm like, maybe Lou was being a little overcautious there. I mean, regardless, it's weird timing. She would have been looked into for sure regardless, but I loved the Vegas sequence, man. And yeah, like I said, that bodybuilding competition is probably my favorite scene in the movie. And there's all sorts of scenes that I love when she hulks out at the end. I love when she gets big and Ed Harris is like, what the fuck, you know, and he gets pinned down and they make him deep throat a Glock and
bleeds
you know,
from it too. That was like that was nuts. Yeah, and like I love that she's out of ammo, but like, does she know that she's out of ammo at that? Like, I guess is that the same gun that? No, that's a new gun. That's like
that's his gun.
Oh, at that point it is. It's his.
Pretty sure.
Picks it up and okay. Yeah.
Dude, the shot. What might be my favorite shot is the perspective shot from Lou Sr., by the way. His name's Lou also, Ed Harris's character. Laying on the ground, looking up, and it's giant Katie O'Brien holding him down, looking over him, and Kristen Stewart with the gun above him. And I'm like, one of those influences from like Fight Club. Like it's kind of what I go to every time I see a shot from the perspective of someone on the ground, where like Brad Pitt like leans over him and looks at him in the eye, and all of his dudes are gathered around. You know, like so anytime I see this sort of shot, that's immediately what my mind goes to. And I mean, there's several shots though. Ultimately, I have to go with the fun, happy ending shot where they're running through the clouds as giants, and they're in their bejeweled bikini tops, and they're running through the pink and purple sky, and like it's. I love it. I love it. You
Hell
know?
yes. Why not? You know, and whenever we can go crazy and Hulk out and have these red flashbacks, bad thoughts, it's like, yeah, no, this is cool. This is like La La Land whenever they're in that planetarium and they float up and kiss, and it's perfect. Like I love that. Like whenever love changes the reality of the situation. Oh, I don't know. That's a trope I haven't always loved. I guess I'm finding out that it is one of my favorites. I do like that. I do like
I love it.
the lens of love, I
and
guess.
David Copperfield, whenever he sees his lady everywhere, he sees her hair and he sees her name.
Yes.
And, all that. Yeah, like it's
perfect.
It's cool. Yeah.
And I guess it's not one shot, but it's kind of just going back and forth. It is whenever they do say I love you, like for the first time on their bed, and just like it's just both of their faces like looking at each other, but specifically Kristen Stewart, like the light is coming in, like I don't know, just her face is lit like so perfectly, and just I don't know, like when the up close and personal shots were just super good. I wouldn't say it's on the level of like Titanic or what was the other one that we said was up? Oh, Casablanca. Like it's not up to that level of shooting women, but like like they made them look beautiful lot of time.
And it's fascinating to say this in comparison to Titanic. There's something grimmer going on here. Like there is something like I mean like for the bulk of that movie, I should say. Like the points
Titanic
when you are
is much
looking
more
at
positive.
Kate when you are looking at Kate Winslet as the most beautiful woman alive, it is when nothing can go wrong. Nothing's bad. Everything is good, everything's perfect. So it is a different time in the movie. There is something much darker going on here. They are lit more dramatically. And like one of my favorite shots in the movie that is just like, I've talked about this in weeks past, that I think is the most comparable to that Ingrid Bergman in Casablanca, the Kate Winslet in Titanic, is when Katie O'Brien has hulked out and she's holding Ed Harris down, and Kristen Stewart looks up at her face and she sees her, and she just kind of like, Katie O'Brien just kind of smiles, and a shooting star flies by in the background, and like all that, like obviously there's a visual effects thing going on there that enhances it, but it's still like it's beautiful. It's like, and that's one of the things that's super impressive, again, about Rose Glass as a director, who I look forward to immensely. One of my Twitter mutuals and a very talented podcast host, I believe his name's Alden Diaz, and he hosts Octu Radio, Star Wars podcast. His letterboxd review for this was that he'd watched Rose Glass's other movie, Saint Maud, and this, and that he thinks she would make like the perfect Daredevil movie, which is spot fucking on, I would say, judging by the tone of this. And that's what's cool, is that this is one of those rare movies where I don't feel awkward or wrong about associating them and putting them in these like comic book realms, where I feel like they would really add something. I don't feel like they'd be able to get their creativity stripped from them. Like, I think Katie O'Brien would be a great Wonder Woman, and I do agree with the idea that Rose Glass could direct the shit out of a Daredevil movie. And, like, I think that's awesome. Her
own Daredevil, not not with Kevin Feige looking over and making decisions, but that would be to have these visual cues or like this visual language. Maybe. I don't know if she does this commonly or if like her visual language is like this across her movies, but like, I mean, we do see kind of like a Hulk. It is kind of comic booky a little bit for some of it.
Yeah,
like
there's
but
like that heightened reality fantasy thing, like it's real shit.
When it's just taken seriously, it just works. Like it just it's never like, oh wow, now this movie sucks because we're going crazy. Like it's like it went past a line. No, it makes perfect sense how it's used, and it's not reality. But
that's an insane feat to pull off, to end a movie like this and not be like, oh well, that was odd. Like just be like, yep, that makes fuck yeah, never would have thought of it, but yeah, that makes sense. You know, like it's like that's perfect. That's a perfect way to end this movie, and that's a sign of just brilliant creativity, like pulling off something that no audience could have possibly seen coming, but is almost certainly satisfied. It's just like fuck yeah, that's brilliant. And
if you did see this coming, I don't know. Like
you have a third. You have the other.
You are
side,
the oracle.
You know?
I don't know. Like we need to pick your
Lisa
brain.
Nagaib!
Yeah, we need to pick your brain on everything. If this is the ending you saw in your head, but it does just make sense. Like it is just an ending that is like, yeah, no, and I feel good. Like it was like a fuck yes. Like it couldn't, and like they had like I guess the credits were also really funny of just.
Oh, I loved the credits. Yeah,
Jackie like sleeping, just the strong, one that could have helped drag the body and like help with the strength parts.
And again, it's Jackie's been through enough. Lou's
like,
finally
and that's why. It was just it's so cute. Like the relationship. Their struggles or their cute things is like, oh, look at how she's helping bury this body for her.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's so cute. Look at what she's going through for her. But it's like, yeah, in the normal day to day.
I mean, and the high tension of a lot of this stuff, like whenever they are driving, Lou's driving JJ's car and Jackie's driving Lou's truck, and they are following each other, and they pass the cop, and Daisy interrupts them and stuff. Like that whole sequence, like the music, the silence they're in, and the like when they pull off, there's this shot that pulls up of just their headlights drifting away, and then we get the perspective of the road sliding under the camera, which I always love. It reminds me a lot of David Lynch. I feel like that's a Lost Highway and Twin Peaks and all sorts of stuff. And then they turn off the road, and it flashes to that red. She's re-entering that world, like she's coming back to it. And I think I thought that was a brilliant visual cue. I love the shot whenever, obviously, they blow it up, and they're kissing at the edge of the cavern, and the smoke's pluming up, and like just gorgeous shit, like it's
shoot up roids. We obviously kiss. Burn the fucking abusive and terrible human being. We obviously kiss now. I don't know.
And
like,
that's what's interesting is the first time when they shot up and kissed, that was Jackie. Jackie initiated that. Lou initiated this one. She was
true.
like,
she's like, this is my shit. This
is.
You're like,
I'm back. Like I'm back in it. And I obviously it's not like the best thing.
I'm back.
Yeah.
Not full there, but no. It crazy that like they're justified though. Like it is crazy, and like they do indulge.
Well, she's also exposing her father's crimes by doing it because she knows the smoke will pillow up, and she knows there's other bodies down there, and she like it's a brilliant plan. And obviously there are holes. There are holes in the plan, as her dad points out. It's like you might want to think that through a little bit next time. Cars don't just explode like that. That's only in the movies. I love when they say stuff like that in movies.
We are in the movies, but you're using
exactly.
It's that is nice. But
fuck. Yeah. I love
I don't know what a like like a dad who like he turned into like just the villain. Like it was like and you didn't know like what, I don't know. It was just that he's done this a lot before, and that he just has that. He's like, you can't handle something like this. Like she just can't handle this. And
Ed Harris is so
let
fucking
me take
good,
care
man.
of all of like, oh dude, I mean.
One of my favorite pieces of facial acting in the whole movie is whenever he goes to visit Beth at the hospital, and it's the first time he realizes Jackie and Lou are together. And he looks at Jackie, he looks at Lou, and he just kind of like smirks on his way out. He's like, oh, okay. Like he's, oh, yeah, all right.
I didn't catch that. Definitely a movie. I mean, I'm going back. I have to rewatch this now.
It's a fruitful rewatch. It's not like, it's not like Casablanca where it's like, oh, it makes it so much better. But it's a very, very enjoyable rewatch. It's and there is a tragedy to knowing the Jackie you meet and the Jackie you watch her become throughout the movie, because she seems not innocent, but she's just trying to get by. She's just trying to do her thing, and she'll do it however she has to. Clearly, she fucks a disgusting fuck like JJ. And
yeah, that was magical. It's like
throws the condom out the window. Throws it out the window. She's like, all right, so should I call you about that job? You know, like, I love the, you know, her living under the overpass there and brushing her teeth with her water bottle and stuff and doing the pull-ups over there. You know, like she's just trying to live. And then after she kills Daisy, she runs to that payphone with the gun in her hand and she calls home. And it's her little brother. It's her little brother who answers, and she's like, Jackie, when are you coming home? We miss you. Da, da, da. And then the mom takes the phone and was like, you better never call back here, you psychopath. So
again, another fearful moment. I thought that was like her end right there. I thought she, you know, like a final call, and she was like gun in hand. I'm like, like there were a lot of times where
never fall in love, buddy.
Yeah, like it
hurts.
Like I'm like, no. I'm like, wait a minute. Like no. But a lot of. I was like the tension. There was a lot of tension, like a lot of very just emotions all over the place because we're dealing with murder and we're dealing with, you know, hiding that's not normal everyday stuff. And when you can rope in a relationship romance into that, it just worked. Like this worked. And yeah, I do. I am a sucker for just any space and any stars. That are in a shot, and they gave some good, nice night sky, even just like above the gym, like it just pulled just a wide shot of the gym. There were stars up there, but yeah, the only other shot I had on here was, and I'm trying to think, I wrote down close up on Lou's face driving to Jackie whenever Lou Senior has Jackie at that point, and she's after, I guess, so she has Daisy in the trunk driving there, and it's like a close up on her face. It's not red. It's not the red. Whenever it goes into that, but it feels like half of her face was lit with like a bluish, whitish light, and the other was kind of like a red or like a dark, like a something else. Yeah. But I just thought there were just a lot of really good close ups of Kristen Stewart. Throughout like the whole movie, like I feel like they just lit her face very, very well, often. But I don't know. I guess I'll go with the one I do know for sure, and I can pinpoint is them on the bed. And whenever they do say "I love you" for the first time, like Kristen Stewart's face, just the way it's lit, I was like, that was the one that did stand out to me just on first watch, and I was just like, like this.
Oh, dude, and gorgeous movie, man, for how dark it is. You know, the visual language they establish in the gym in that first sequence, and the camera lowering, like starting in the cavern and kind of, you know, finding its way to the gym and lowering from the stars down to it and going inside and kind of taking you on a tour of the place we're going to spend the important beginning of the movie. And I really dug that. I really appreciated that. And yeah, it just establishes such a keen visual sensibility. It knows exactly what it is. It knows exactly what it's trying to do, and it maintains that the whole time with notable diversions that are purposeful. And I think that's a pleasant thing a movie can do. Whenever the diversions from its visual sensibility are obviously on purpose, they're trying to do something, and it's not like, oh, we lost sight of what we were doing, this just happened. No, like it's notable. It is different, and there's a reason for it. And I think that's the best way to shake up the visual sensibility of your movie. So, I love Lies Bleeding. I think that it's amongst my favorite movies of the year so far.
Title. I always kind of like, after I watch a movie, I'm like, okay, so there was no name drop, right? There was no never. No. Is it kind of like a play on Blood, Sweat, and Tears? But it's Love, Lies, and Bleeding. You know, is that the play, or is it like that love brings lies, and then it, you know, or I don't like. I was just trying to figure out like.
I take the title Love, Lies, Bleeding to be like their path to love is not easy. It is marred by murder and struggle and drug abuse and. So their love lies bleeding. Their love is on the ground, bleeding.
It's
lying bleeding, not lying.
Okay, love lies.
Mostly.
Okay, yes,
lays down
not
bleeding.
Not telling the truth. Yes. Okay.
Yes, love lies bleeding, and I have a fun connection to the title from my album of the week, actually. But yeah, no, it was one of the most pleasant surprises of the year. I knew I'd like it. I didn't know I'd love it. It was one of those ones where it got announced towards the end of last year, and I was super excited for it because Kristen Stewart's awesome. I knew Katie O'Brien from The Mandalorian, and I was like, oh, fuck yeah, she's going to get a chance to shine in a movie, you know, like that's going to be kick-ass. And I was like, bodybuilder, lesbians, like that's cool. That's a fun idea. Let's roll. Mm-hmm. And it's been fun since it arrived on digital to see the people who haven't watched it see, like, you know, GIFs and clips from it, where, like, there was a GIF posted of her throwing up Lou on Twitter the other day, and someone quote tweeted and said, "What the fuck? I thought this was a fun rom-com movie."
Yeah,
what
I thought. I thought, like, I'm getting into the most flamboyantly gay, like, just actively. I don't know. Like, I had zero clue. I had no clue murder would be in the movie. You know, I didn't think we'd get into that, and then no, very, very serious, very. And just, it's the way it is. Like, it's not like they bring up that they're gay. Like, it's not like that it is the focal point of the movie. And it's just how it is. And I don't know, I feel like that just works better.
It's the next evolution in proper representation, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, obviously there was a time whenever the pivot point of a movie within the last 10 years was like the crux of the film, and the conflict to overcome was people not accepting them, or the coming out, or the accepting that you are in love with this person, or, you know, and those movies have their place, you know, like Brokeback Mountain is a key one of those movies. I absolutely adore that movie. But I'm a Cheerleader is a brilliant fucking gay movie. There's all sorts of really good examples of that type of movie that came before, but the next evolution is just treating it as commonplace, and treating it as it's just a relationship. It's not a, you know, like if the crux of the movie had been different, if Ed Harris's character had been blatantly homophobic, if Ed Harris's character had been like if he resented Lou for being gay, maybe this would be a different movie. And I get the impression that that's why Jackie had to leave home, but they don't key in on that. You know, like when she does call home, and her mom's like, "You never call back here, you monster, or you psycho," or whatever the fuck. Like, I get the impression
the two together. Yeah, like,
and she had to leave home. She's been hitchhiking. She didn't get any help. She, you know, like that's probably what happened. But that's not the story of the film, and I think that's an interesting way to approach it, and it allows for you to tell a much more exciting, new, and original story. Because, I mean, like, otherwise you run into stuff that's been done and done well. Like I said, Brokeback Mountain is definitely one of my favorite movies of all time. That's, you know, coming to terms with sexuality, but I'm a Cheerleader, kind of in the same vein. But it's always like But I'm a Cheerleader is a really good movie. You should definitely watch it. Natasha Lyonne, I love her. Michelle Williams, also in Brokeback Mountain, funny enough. But
okay,
RuPaul,
I'm more I'm definitely, you know, if I'm not like turned off by any gay movies at all, but like if you can just have a gay movie that is just this good of a movie in the first place as well, like, I don't know.
And that was the thing until like a few years ago. The movies that got like play as being like, oh, this is a great gay movie, was like Love, Simon, from Disney, like and that's not a very good fucking movie. And so, like, up until a couple years ago, I'd been like completely oblivious to any good queer cinema, and just kind of coming to terms with my own sexuality, watching movies, and watching things unfold in a way that inspire me. And there's a lot of good queer cinema, like Moonlight from 2016, brilliant. One of the again, A24, but one of the best movies of the 2010s, if not the best movie of the 2010s. And it's even more fun going back to, old movies and seeing queer coding that they couldn't be like, and they're gay, like a
Thelma and
one
Louise, like kind of like
a little bit, but
is
even
it
older
that obvious?
than that,
And, like, is it like it's just kind of
Thelma and Louise
known,
kind of
not,
blurs the line a little bit more, Thelma and Louise, like, there's a best friend thing going on. It is different, I appreciate that Jackie's bi. I appreciate that they acknowledge that and stuff. They're like, she's like, I like both, and her being like, oh, okay, like, that's fine. But yeah, like, if we're talking about Thelma and Louise, like, at least one of them's got to be bi.
Okay.
Now, Susan Sarandon's character, pretty sure she's just gay. Pretty sure she's just a lesbian. But regardless, that's just speculation. But even going back further, there's a movie from, I can't remember if it's the 40s or the 50s. It's called Rope, and it's directed by Alfred Hitchcock. And there's an incredible homoeroticism between the two male leads that they don't play up. They can't acknowledge it, but there's an obvious there's something there where you're like, these two are into each other, like that's kind of how you're feeling. And there's so many examples, especially going back to like Singing in the Rain. There's a little bit of a thing there where you're like, oh, is there something going on? Like there's always something you can look through that lens and go, oh, well, we're not acknowledging it, but there might be a little something here. And I think that's like the history of queer cinema. Like, once you just get older and you get a chance to explore it, it's just so fruitful. There's a lot out there, a lot more than you'd think, like, I remember when I started trying to like find queer movies, I was like, how many of them are there really? And then I was like, oh my God, there's a fucking lot. I just did, like, they've just never been shown to me and I've never heard about them. So let's go ahead and find them. Besides the obvious one, like, I think Brokeback Mountain's probably the most famous gay movie of all time.
I've heard of that one. Yeah. I mean, I still haven't
like,
seen it, but that is the movie. If I were to pick or pull out just a gay movie that I just know,
and that's another really important thing. Like last year, I think it was 2023, June 2023. I read a movie called Bi, and it was just about bisexuality in culture and pop culture and coming to terms with it and stuff like that. And one of the key things that upon watching Brokeback Mountain, it's touted as the gay cowboy movie when it's really the bi rancher movie. Like, they're both bisexual, they're not gay. Like, it's a pretty key part of the movie, actually, is that they're bi, not that they are. So like, and there could be, there's speculation to be had there, but it's a really good representation of like bi erasure in culture. Is that Brokeback Mountain with a blatantly bisexual twinge to it gets referred to as the gay cowboy.
Yeah,
and it's like,
I would not have gotten that at all. Like,
I didn't
never
either.
heard.
I didn't either before I watched it. So like, that's one of those things where it's like, it's important to depict these things explicitly too. Like, one of those things that I appreciate implicit. I appreciate kind of implying it. I like that stuff. But there is an angle that, like, in a lot of television shows, a woman might be interested in a woman, but she rarely calls herself a lesbian. She rarely acknowledges that she's gay. And like, I think that there's a give and take there, like, do we need labels? No, but do labels provide a nice, especially in entertainment, a nice outlet for people who look for representation and want to see themselves on screen? Like, there's a give and take in all these things, but I adore Love Lies Bleeding. I appreciate that they explicitly give Jackie a moment where she's like, I like both, like, and that's, I appreciate that. It wasn't like she just slept with JJ to get a job. It wasn't like she just felt like she had to. Like, no, she experiences some degree of pleasure from fucking a dude, like that's also something she's into. So I appreciated that.
Yeah. And it was also weird. Like, I've just had the job that Lou has had, just sitting at a front desk of a gym, and every now and then you just have to count how many people are in the gym at the current time.
Yeah.
It's not, And I know that people do not like to be stared at whenever like they're working out. Like it's just uncomfortable if you lock eyes with someone and then you realize they've been staring at you, like it's weird. But like
yeah.
in
any context, yeah.
And like but like I'm a human. I would just be counting, and then like you see someone that is just looks really, really, like really good. They're like,
wow,
like,
you are
and
impressive.
It's like, and then I would lose my count, and I just find myself like looking at, and then I'd have to remind myself, okay, no, I'm here just to count the people, like it's, it's like it's hard. Like I mean, like that, it's like holy,
because
like,
even beyond a sexualness or anything, like it's just some people are impressive to look at. Some people are like, holy shit, like you look like that. That's insane.
And
and Katie O'Brien, like I think she's a beautiful fucking person. I think she is unbelievably attractive. But there's also an element to her that's just like, how the fuck is that possible?
Yeah.
Like, how do you look like that?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It's just when you see a person like that walk in, like they usually wear as little clothes as possible as well, because they like to show off all the work that they have done. And it's like it is just it's more of just not a sexual attraction, just a kind of like a holy shit, like
admiration.
Just like whoa.
Yeah,
and yeah, so I don't know, it's like just sitting at the front in a gym and just being able to look at people. Like there's obviously the people in the gym that that are in the gym, and that they're like the stereotypical dude bros that and I every kind of person goes to the gym, but I don't know, it is a crazy job. I don't know, just a weird, I don't know, not like a more like a gray area, but like it is just like it feels sexual, but it's not at all. Like I don't know,
no,
like what it is. Like,
there's a sensuality to getting hot and sweating, and there's a communal experience about it, which is kind of like it's kind of interesting to think about the history of communal sensuality compared to where we've gotten to where we're very monogamous as a society, which I'm monogamous as well. I'm not a polyamorous lad. That is not exactly something I'm into, but, to each their own. Like Kristen Stewart sucking toes in this movie. Hey, if that's what you're into. Not for me, but hey, if that's what you like. But, like, there used to be, like, communal baths and orgies were like a normal fucking thing.
Yeah.
So I think there's this primal evolutionary thing about getting hot and sweaty in a group setting where there's a bunch of beautiful people that is
it's almost an orgy, it's not at all, like, but like every gym,
and it's not even arousing, but there's a vaguely sexual feeling about it. Yes, I know what you're saying. I know what you're talking about.
It's just almost there, and like it's and that's why I don't know, it did just like the thought hit me like whenever she was just sitting at the front and like staring, like just looking at Jackie, just like holy fuck, like where did you come from?
How on earth would Jackie not catch your attention?
And
that's one of those people where like if she walks into a room, that all eyes are going to that person, because how the fuck does she exist? And I think that's something that, like, maybe this movie could have done better, like to compare it to Casablanca or Titanic with Ingrid Bergman and, Kate Winslet. You do have a natural, naturel, baby, as she says it. You do have a beauty here that is unbelievable. Not similar to pretty much anyone we've seen on screen in a movie ever. Ooh. beyond being the butt of a joke, like kind of like muscle women have notoriously been mannish, or they've been they've been like oh well, I'm not going to hook up with them, like they're stronger than me and that makes me insecure, like that's shit like that. And I think that there's a degree of that though, and it does come from when Kristen Stewart is lost in the gaze of Jackie. I
wish maybe we could have got
that's
more
really strong
of that. Maybe if they did more of like whenever they were just falling in love, like maybe when she just entered a room, like in that lens would come out again, and just she would view her as a god, like just kind of a goddess, like just like holy fuck, what am I looking, like
like I mean, there's that montage after they've had like their breakfast together, and Jackie goes to work, and they show Kristen Stewart making the eggs and removing the yolks and stuff for her. Kristen Stewart's reading Macho Sluts, and they're watching cartoons together, and they're eating each other out, and it's just like a big old montage. Guns are getting fired, drugs are getting sold. Like it's a lot of stuff. But and it's during one of those sequences where like they do a really good job of emphasizing the beauty in this chaos, and I think that this movie is just really, really good at that. But yeah, so this was actually also this came out, and I watched it for the first time. I've watched it once a month since it's come out, because it was in March. Let's see, when was my first viewing of this? I logged it for the first time on March 14th. I started trying to lose weight 3 days later. I was like, you know what? That's the one. Let's fucking do this thing. Like that was kind of it for me. And now it's going well. But then like Monkey Man came out, and I was like, yeah, really got to keep trying at this. And then Challengers came out, and I was like, yep, really got to keep trying at this.
Challengers was mine that got me on like a diet and like an actual routine, and like now it's like no, after just seeing how just hot people can look.
Yeah, it's like, hey, I'm comfortable with the way I look, but man, I could try to look like that, and I'd really like that.
It'd be really awesome. It'd be really
another
awesome.
thing that motivated me, which I don't really see, and I don't think many people watching will see. Emily showed me a picture of Katie O'Brien, and it was a certain picture of Katie O'Brien, and was like, she kind of looks like you here. And I was like, God, I wish. And then I was like, maybe I try. I was like, maybe I try to look like Katie O'Brien. Maybe that's something I can
Not
try
a bad
to attain.
goal.
Try to it. Yeah, no, I know. And I was like, that's like, so it's funny that I've been watching, superhero movies for years, and I've been watching all these dudes. I've watched Chris Evans and Captain America get like fucking huge and stuff, and like what motivated me was Katie O'Brien. Like I was like, Katie O'Brien, like I needed a woman.
We needed
to be
some
like
strong gay people.
Yes,
like that's
just,
what we needed. I don't know.
Powerful queer people need it. And I was like, you know what? I'm in. Let's do this thing. So
superheroes, it's just that's what it is, and like it I don't know, it's whatever. But this, now
Steve Rogers.
Well,
we can talk about whether or not he's queer, but
not to say that he doesn't look bad. I mean, it's not like I didn't look at him and I didn't go, "Whoa, holy fuck!"
Oh, yeah. Like when I was 15 and Avengers: Age of Ultron came out, and he like ripped the wood in half with his bare hands, and like he's wearing that skin tight shirt and stuff. That I think that was one of those times where I was kind of like, oh, like I was kind of like,
yeah,
perhaps, yeah. I was like, I think I kind of liked that.
What would
like
happen if we, if we were alone in a room? I don't know. We have no clue.
There's no way to tell.
It's just.
But yeah. No, that was like so
strong gay people, though.
Strong gay people, though.
We've got it.
It's always inspiring. And Katie O'Brien, she definitely inspired me to a degree. But love Lies Bleeding, one of my favorites of the year, and absolutely adore it. Do you think we're ready for a rating for this movie?
I think we are.
Okay,
we're there.
Then we're gonna do the plugs here. I'm gonna tell you where you can follow us, where you can find us elsewhere, and that's how that's gonna go. And then after the plugs, we are going to rate this movie on a scale of 1 to 10. You're gonna find out how we feel about it. We are going to do our album of the week. Both of us have an album of the week to present, and then Joe is going to surprise us with the cinema we'll be taking in next week for Cinema Surprise. And I'm so very excited. So, if you would, head to patreon.com/PennyBloomPod, where you'll find over 100 hours of exclusive content. we've recently started doing something called the Penny Bloom Dispatch. It's only been going on for a couple months. It's every Monday through Wednesday, kind of in that range. Not exactly a regular schedule, but it's in that range, and it's weekly, where it's more relevant. It's news, it's entertainment news. It's Joe's doing a science and archaeology segment whenever he can, whenever he wants to, and it's a lot of fun. It's been a while since we've done something kind of timely, and I had an idea for the Penny Bloom Dispatch that I'm kind of just running by Joe for the first time here, which is that if you go to Patreon, it's available free. It's to kind of reel you in. It is, but that is the only place you'll get it, is Patreon. That's the only place you'll find it, patreon.com/PennyBloomPod. You can find the Penny Bloom Dispatch for free, and maybe it will reel you into some of our other content. It's early access. For example, if you're listening to this on June 28th, the anniversary of the Stonewall Rebellion, by the way, that's why I got this book on display here, you could have heard it about a month and a half ago, sometime in the middle of May. And with that, you could have heard all sorts of other shit that we haven't even released yet, that we haven't even recorded yet. It's over there on Patreon. So it's mostly early access content and the Penny Bloom Dispatch. And then if we see a movie that we randomly want to talk about, we kind of slide that in there. So it's a lot of fun. And for $50 a month, you can gain access to that other stuff, but for free at patreon.com/PennyBloomPod. You can get an additional episode a week from us on more timely, relevant stuff. So yeah, patreon.com/PennyBloomPod. If you would, head to Twitter, follow at PennyBloomPod, follow on Instagram at PennyBloomPodcast. You can also follow on TikTok at PennyBloomPodcast. And you can watch on YouTube. You can see our beautiful faces. I got my little bi flag on display today. Happy Pride Month for everybody out there. For all my queer homies, I got the Stonewall book on display to celebrate the anniversary. Got the gay movie. Got an album that I'll get to in a second on display too. You can't really make it out. It's a dirty ass CD, but yeah, you can watch it on YouTube now. You can leave a 5-star rate and review wherever you might be listening. You can download the episodes, which is a huge help, and share wherever you might be listening. Share with one person. And this is all we're doing right now on Fridays. But on Penny Bloom Podcast, we are also doing Fire and Bloom, our House of the Dragon podcast. We release every Monday with every new episode. Right now, I think next week will be Season 2, Episode 4, if I recall correctly. Maybe Season 2. Yeah. I think Season 2, Episode 4.
Guess.
I believe that is next week. And
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll bring us into the new month, I believe. I believe that'll be July 1st, or maybe it's June. Yeah, July 1st.
Wait, is this? Because I don't have the movies on. This
is June 28th.
Yes, then 3 is coming up on July 1st. Okay,
July 1st
I was
will
a
be
week
House
ahead.
of the Dragon,
yes.
Season 2, Episode 3. Like I said,
Mm-hmm.
If you are listening to this, you could have had access in early May. So I'm not exactly recording this in a timely manner. But yeah, you have access to that there. And I would appreciate it if you go ahead and check out Fire and Bloom if you're a House of the Dragon fan. But yeah, let's rate this thing. So let's do the individual ones. What is this on a scale of 1 to 10 for you, enjoyment wise?
I know, like 7s is good, and I'm not even in the 7s. 8s is whenever it's like I'm in the high 8s or 9s for enjoyment. I haven't solidified my enjoyment yet, but that's where I am.
Gotcha.
And I feel my gut kind of took me to like an 8.75 or a 9. It's kind of almost there, and I wanted to see like what a 9 kind of was, and that's John Wick 1 was just a flat 9, and very different movies completely.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm either just right there or right below, and I feel like that's why my gut. I feel like it's right. I feel like that is where I would land.
8.75.
8.75. I feel like for me.
Okay, cool. I take it north of John Wick, easily for me. In fact, handily above John Wick. For me, this is a 9.5 enjoyment. I love this movie. One of my favorites. I think the cinema experience elevates it for me to a degree. I think I had a whole different love for this movie from the first time I got to see it. Got to see it in a late night showing. I think it was like 10 p.m. Me and Emily, pretty much alone in a movie theater. There were a couple other people, but man, just
big screen would be nice.
Oh,
with
beautiful
this one.
fucking movie.
Oh, man.
So for me, this is a 9.5. I can't take it north of that. I could take it south of that, and obviously we will have to for the collaborative score here.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I'm like 9.25. Like, if we just want to like round out, I guess the middle would be a 9.15. You know, it's somewhere in there. But like, I feel like a 9.25. Like, that's above the average, but I'm comfortable giving it like a 9.25.
If you are okay, then I'm down for that too.
So,
I would love that. I'd appreciate that. So
okay.
I'm comfortable giving it a 9.25 as well. And critically, it's a damn good movie. There are better movies, but I would say it definitely elevates above that threshold of good. It's above 7, and
sure.
I would say it's comfortably 8s. Don't know if I could take it 9s, but
the visual language, the performances, the story, like just how
the writing
and like everything, like this is good. This is like, I very, very much enjoy it. I feel like maybe 8 does just feel right. Like, I feel like the second act, I don't know what to change or what to focus on more or whatever, but it just didn't quite have what the first and ending, third.
It wasn't.
had.
It didn't grab you the way the rest of the movie does. I get that. My gut took me 8.25, but I would be comfortable going down to an 8. That doesn't bother me at all.
So, I mean, 8 or an 8.25. I mean, I could get behind either. I guess with an 8, it would be an 84.2%. With an 8.25, it's an 85.8, so like an 86%.
I'm cool with the 8 then. That's fine with me.
Okay. So 9.25 and 8, a little 84.2% there.
84%.
And we're filling in that feels good. Better than Tron. And I would agree. This is a better overall movie than Tron. Even though how much I love it, my enjoyment is still higher for Tron, but
yeah.
This is a better movie. So okay, 80. We got like the peak of Casablanca. We got kind of like a constant kind of average Book of Eli movie, and now I feel like
we got the ones we love. We got I feel like we're gonna hover probably around this range is probably where most of the movies are gonna slot in. I don't know. I might come with an absolute banger again because I kind of plan. I'll spoil something. I kind of plan on coming with like 3 2020s movies, including this, and 3 older movies that I regard as great. So like,
okay,
I don't know if they'll be Casablanca, as that's one of the greatest movies, period. But they'll be good.
Yeah, it'll be hard to pick another Casablanca. I think we can pick another Love Lies Bleeding. Like that's much.
This
more
range
likely.
is more attainable on a consistent level. But yeah, then at an 84%, that's where Love Lies Bleeding rounds out. And do you want to do albums of the week ahead of your announcement, or would you like to do your announcement?
I guess the album it relates to the movie. I chose more of a sexually charged album. I didn't quite get. I feel like I got like a gayer and like representation album with Prince before, and I kind of wanted to go there, but it was an album that I listened to actually, and I don't know if it actually came from your recommendation or my sister's whole vinyl collection thing, but I don't know. It was just I put it on and I was like, ooh, I could. It felt sexy, and it was about sex. It's Curtis Harding. I think it's from you. I think. And it's
correct.
Face Your Fear is the album. And specifically, I don't know, one song that the first track, Wednesday Morning Atonement, I instantly just added. But there's the other good ones. Need Your Love and Need My Baby. Ooh, I don't know. It's just I love any song or any music that has to do with love at all, I'm in way more. And then whenever it can just get kind of sexy and I don't know, like this.
I like that.
I was clean. I think I put it on while I was cleaning my sister's apartment, but I think that's why I'm confusing where it came from, is because I know I played it over there, but I think it came off of like your recommendation thing.
I know I've recommended it to you.
Yes, and it's just
in fact, it's one I've considered going with for an album of the week. So this is it's a really, really strong album. On and On is my favorite song from it. Just keeps on and on and on. Man,
I mean, it just got me to slow, like, clean. I was cleaning and I was just like dancing as I'm cleaning. Just like I love when an album can get me to move differently, and this I'm there.
I actually discovered this album. You know, sometimes the MCU is good. The song On and On is the final song in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier at the cookout where they're looking out over the water and they are, like, Bucky comes and puts his hand on Sam's shoulder and they're looking out at, like, this On and On is playing by Curtis Harding. So that's how I discovered this album, and I went and dug deeper and I was like, holy shit, I fucking love this thing. So I'm glad you got around to it, and I'm glad you picked an album that I'd been considering going for album of the week, because it just removes a little something for me. I don't have to go with it, and it's something that I'm satisfied with. So I love that. It'd be
crazy if we did line up one week, not knowing, but
no, I've been worried about that in weeks past. Every once in a while, I feel like it's a possibility. Last week was the one that I was like, I thought it could happen because I explicitly went with an album that was mentioned in the Book of Eli, so I wasn't sure if that might happen. But my album of the week, I went with one of the, a queer icon, Elton John. Elton John's Goodbye Yellow Brick Road.
Let's go.
Yes, I love this album, and I went for it this week particularly because the first track is titled Funeral for a Friend, and then in parentheses, Love Lies Bleeding. So that's why I went with it this week, and I feel like it's almost certainly an influence on the title of this film. Feels like it almost certainly has to be. But, yeah, I mean, Sweet Painted Lady, one of my favorite songs of all time. Benny and the Jets. I mean, it's Benny and the fucking Jets. That's one of the best songs ever. The Ballad of Danny Bailey, Candle in the Wind. Like, this is just one of the greatest albums of all time. So I had to go with Goodbye Yellow Brick Road by Elton John for my album of the week. Kind of concluding Pride Month with a little Elton John, with a gay movie. It felt right. It felt right.
I only know the titular song, good, like track 4.
Yeah, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. Yeah, like
that's the one I know.
Another iconic song. So, like, I mean, Candle in the Wind, you've almost certainly heard. Benny and the Jets, I know you've heard. It's one of those where, like,
wow. So I know them. I probably just don't know them by name.
Yes,
right now.
You will. Benny and the Jets. If you don't recognize that one by name, there's a decent chance you haven't heard it, which would be kind of surprising because I mean the chorus is Benny and the Jets. Like, it's pretty iconic.
Yeah,
so like I'd be surprised if you haven't.
I need Elton John. I do. Every song I've heard of him, I really like. Rocket Man,
Elton
Goodbye
John
Yellow Brick Road. Like, I do
yeah.
have songs I like, but I've never actually just gone into just him more.
Elton John rules, dude. So, yep. Okay. Elton John and Curtis Harding. Good little juxtaposition there to conclude June. This is the last album of the week for June, and we'll be kicking off July next week. Next Friday, what is Cinema Surprise having in store for us from Joseph?
So I am more nervous. The other ones I've just felt like, yeah, this is a movie that I want to watch, and it's whatever. But now it's a movie that I have not seen. But I've heard very good things. We're in the 2020s. I wanted to also keep it that way. I want to see as many new movies as I can. And I was going back and forth of which one I should choose. But the one that I just want to get is Babylon. 2022.
Fuck yes!
Damien Chazelle, Babylon. So yeah, I feel like you would. I felt like you were gonna like it. So yeah, I just wanted to get it. There's like 3 movies that I was between, and this was the one that I was debating over the other 2. And I'm like, well, if I'm doing that and I'm selecting this one out of, having to, I don't know, it was just clear. So Babylon, just I wanted to get to it. Perfect time. I felt like
this is a fun choice. It's a fun choice.
So
this
I know it's a long one, but
yes,
but
for me, worth it. I'm a Babylon truther.
Okay.
Mixed reviews though. This one it's one that people have either loved or they've hated, and I think I think you'll like it. You've just got an open mind for this shit, man. It's Damien Chazelle. He directed La La Land.
It's Margot Robbie. There are a lot of things just pointing me a lot. I want to see this. Just the cast, everything about it. It looks visually incredible. I just wanted to get around to it. In 2022, it's newer, but not. I was thinking of being fuck it. What about a movie that's in the theater right now? But then I'm like, well, right. I don't know if you could be able to get there and see, actually seeing it throws a whole different wrench into things. But I wanted new movies, and Babylon, I don't know, I felt like you'd be okay with it. So,
I'm absolutely okay with it. That's exciting. I'm very excited to dive into Babylon next week. Fuck yes.
Yeah.
Okay, then. If you enjoyed Cinema Surprise, come back next week for Babylon, Joseph's Choice, and I'm so fucking excited. I love that movie, and I've only watched it once because it is 3 hours, so I'm excited to revisit it. I think I watched it for the first time about a year and a half ago, so super exciting. I cannot wait. Come back next week for Babylon on Cinema Surprise and on the Penny Bloom podcast. You can find Fire and Bloom if you're a House of the Dragon fan, so stick with us. And I think you'll enjoy what you see. But yeah, with that, I was Colton Robertson. I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
Well, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it's always a pleasure to have you. And remember, peace, love, and bloom. And I fucking love you, you idiot.